Good morning, everybody, and to all of you here in the sanctuary, as well as all of you online. This is the First Unitarian Church of Alton, Illinois. Greetings to everybody. My name is Robin Berkeley. I am serving as a worship associate today to support Reverend Claudia Hall, who is virtual today because she got COVID. So my pronouns are she, her. And I am the president of this congregation, and I also serve as a worship associate. Claudia Hall, her pronouns are also she or they. She serves in many roles here, including the RE coordinator for First UU. She does services for us. She's a parent advocate at Cardinal Glennon Children's Medical Center, and she is Missouri's first Kohenet or Jewish priestess. We welcome everyone to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. We will start with a prelude. Thank you. An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. Join me in celebrating all of these reasons and more. And if you're watching elsewhere and have a chalice or a candle nearby, please light it now as we all join in saying the unison words projected on the screen. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. I'll turn it over to Claudia for the opening prayer.
Good morning, everyone. The prayer that I am reading from this morning was written by the Venerable Master Singhun of the Fogongshang Buddhist order. I adapted it slightly for inclusivity so that we are not just praying to Buddha, but to all compassionate ones. I invite you to join with me now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. O great compassionate one, today is a new beginning. It is said that the morning hours are the best time of day. On such a fine morning, I recall past experiences. I have failed, but I have never been disappointed. I have been sad, but I have already been able to open my mind peacefully. I have been wronged, but have understood that all things in this world arise and extinguish according to the law of dependent origination. I have shed tears, but have deeply believed that tomorrow will be better. Today, under the blessing and protection of your compassionate light, I pray to you to grant me the courage to face all challenges on this day. I pray to you to grant me the patience to accept all setbacks on this day. I pray to you to grant me the strength to carry out all work on this day. And I pray to you to grant me the wisdom to be grateful for all causes and conditions on this day. O great compassionate one, please help me increase my wisdom. Please help me open my mind. May I be able to appreciate the wonders of sky and earth. May I be able to be grateful for the warmth of the world. May I be able to obtain the assistance of friends. May I be able to realize the value of Dharma. O great compassionate one, please help me become a person wealthy in spirit, that every day I may give joy, every day I willingly form affinity with others, every day I practice loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Every day may I treat people with tolerance and generosity. And we all say, Amen and blessed be. We invite you to remain seated and join us in our opening hymn this morning. It's number 17 in the Gray Hymnal, Every Night and Every Morn.
Claudia, you taking the next?
Yep.
Okay.
It is a tradition here at First Unitarian Universalist of Alton to place each service within the larger sources and principles that we as UUs hold dear. While we are a religion with no requirement of creed or belief, we do have things that we support overall. And our service today comes from our second principle, which is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, and our fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Today, our children will be studying the life and teachings of one of the greatest sages in all history, the man we know as the Buddha. His lifelong search for truth and his understanding of human existence has influenced countless people for more than 2,500 years. His understanding of life and the processes of human thought and behavior are now becoming understood in the West as crucial components of human psychology and well-being. Buddhism for many is a religion, for some a philosophy, and for others a treasure trove of deep insights about the working of the human mind. One of the things the Buddha and Buddhism in general is known for is the focus on mindfulness, the ability to be fully present with ourselves and with others is incredibly difficult, and yet when we obtain it, even for a moment, we can gain insight and clarity that enable us to be at peace with ourselves and compassionate with others. Today, our study of mindfulness is done with the knowledge and gratitude to the person who first brought it into our awareness so many years ago. I invite the children this morning to go ahead and stay in your seat because we have a video reading of our book this morning, I Am Peace.
And before we sing the kids out, I want to wish Emily a happy birthday. Yay!
Happy birthday!
Okay. Begin with the video.
Hi, I'm Susan Verde, and today I'm going to read the book I Am Peace, written by me and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. There are times when I worry about what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor, being carried away. I give myself a moment. I take a breath, and then I tell myself it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet and steady myself. And start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle. My mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others. I make a difference. Oh, and look what happened. The seeds drop. And all of a sudden, something starts to grow. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath fill my whole body. I tune into me. Now the water is still. I have found my anchor and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others and hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace. And that is the end. Thank you.
That's beautiful. I love that story. Okay, as part of our weekly worship service, we take time for the expression of joy. Oh, I missed that entirely. I'm so sorry. So we're going to sing the kids out now. Thank you. Journey as you journey. Thank you. If anybody cares to join Carol in the worker room to help her out, we would appreciate that. Since I was supposed to be with her today, but I'm here to help Claudia. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate that. As part of our weekly worship service, we now take time for the expression of our joys, concerns, and sorrows. And before we begin our ritual, I'm going to break with a little tradition here and ask you personally for some love and support for one of my oldest friends who was found unconscious in the house, seizing, and she's got kidney failure and heart failure, and she's basically my age, and it breaks my heart. She coded twice last night, and as a good Catholic, she's had the last rites because it's hard. So I'm just asking you all for whatever we can get out to the universe. If you pray, please pray. If you send metta, please send metta. Whatever is your terms of expression, I would appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. We have one way. This is a way that we can build our beloved community, not simply to return to what it was before, but to carry what we have become, this beloved ritual infused with all the ways we have changed in 3 years, and with all that remains steadfast in the almost 190 years of this church's existence. And in fact, I think I did the math last night. It's 186 years. So yeah, in fact, and my Facebook feed had all of the photos from our party in when we did it in 2011, 175 years then. So it's pretty amazing. If you would like to recognize a joy or sorrow or a milestone, you can come forward and place a stone or several stones in the water bowl to represent your joys and sorrows. The stones in the back as well as here in the front please come forward, come down this aisle, come up this aisle, and place the stone or stones, multiple, in the water as a symbol of what you carry in your heart. So please take some time now for meditation and for music. I will now pass the, where are we at? Okay, worship associate. I'm sorry, we're just struggling here with flow, so I'm struggling with flow. I apologize. Nobody else's fault but mine. Our next hymn is number 6 in the gray hymnal projected on the wall, Just as Long as I Have Breath. And then Claudia will continue with her message after that.
Good morning, everyone. I am so grateful to be with you today, even though I am in my home. At least I am not in the hospital, and so for that, I give great gratitude to the universe. And as we gather this morning, it's such a wonderful privilege to be able to just breathe. COVID really reminds you of just how critical breathing is for everything we do in our world. So I invite you today to breathe with me and to just breathe in love, both for yourself and also for all of those who are part of this community, and then to breathe out some peace on this Sunday morning. Both of those things, love and peace, are things human beings need to live and to thrive, and yet they are two of the most difficult things to find in this world. In fact, in many ways, this really is the eternal quest of humanity, to find some way to be at peace within and to act in ways that are loving and compassionate toward others. Today, our children are learning about mindfulness, and as I was preparing the lesson, I realized that it really is something that all of us need on a continuous basis, every moment of the day, regardless of our religious tradition or beliefs. We all need to be able to be in this moment in order to fully appreciate the gift that is life. The legend of the Buddha, I'm not sure how familiar some of you may or may not be with it, so the original legend of the Buddha, and there's various adaptations of all of these, but it states that he was raised as a prince in a fabulous palace and deliberately kept away from any kind of suffering, until he left the palace one day and he saw an injured person, an elderly person, and a dead person. Confronted with these signs of human suffering, he decided to become a monk in the Hindu tradition that he came out of, and he became a hermit in a forest, practicing extreme asceticisms, such as sitting out in all weather meditating or only eating a few grains of rice a day. After years of this, he realized that starving himself was not working, so he sat under a tree and he meditated until he found a state called enlightenment. The system that he came up with during his meditation was the idea of a middle way, neither the extreme consumption of his youth as a prince or the extreme asceticism of the forest monks. He taught what are now called the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and these created the heart of the system of philosophy and teaching that has undergirded Buddhism for the last 2,600 years. The Four Noble Truths are these. First, all of life is full of suffering. Second, the cause of suffering is a craving for things called attachment. And the word is a little different in the original Sanskrit than it is in ours. It's not just about attachment, it's about desiring for and craving for, almost like somebody who needs their fix. And we crave all the time. We crave tangible things like food or clothing or morning coffee. We also crave intangible things like stability, happiness, and we have this endless desire for things to be a certain way. This is at the heart, the Buddha believed, of suffering. He said that the third noble truth is that we can, in fact, end this incessant, constant craving for things to be a certain way. Once we can perceive that everything is impermanent, it's dynamic, it's always changing, when we can stop linking our ability to be happy to obtaining our cravings, then we can become free, and free from suffering, free from attachment, free from a need to control our world, which is, in essence, uncontrollable. The fourth noble truth is that there is a path that can lead us to this state where we are no longer constantly or just absolutely overwhelmed by our cravings. This path is the Eightfold Path, which he developed and is often called the middle way, because it seeks to be something that every person can achieve. The 8 steps are not discrete things. They're more like a wheel, which is why the symbol of Buddhism is often a wheel of Dharma, and it's just incessantly, constantly flowing around and around, much as all things in our universe are constantly in a state of change and flux. The 8 steps of the Eightfold Path are right understanding and right thought, from which flow right speech and right action, from which flow right livelihood and right effort, which lead to right mindfulness and right concentration. And when one has right concentration, you flow right back to right speech and right action. And so the wheel turns. In the 2,600 or so years since he began teaching these truths, there have been many different variations on this theme, and different ways have been proposed by different entities to obtain the goal of cessation from suffering. All Buddhists have in common the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, but there are slightly different approaches for how one gets to the end of suffering. And these have created the various schools of Buddhist thought, such as Theravada, Mahayana, and so on. There's even more subdivisions, we might call them denominations in the West, that have become well known, such as Zen Buddhism. But for all of these differences, they are all teaching the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. When I teach classes on religion, especially world religions, I try to define the essence of a religion or a philosophy by asking, what are the things that a practitioner of that religion has to grapple with? For example, to be a Christian, no matter how you define that or what you believe in that, you have to grapple with the idea of Jesus and the Christian Bible. These are things that must be talked about, must be understood, and must be wrestled with in order for one to be Christian. A Hindu, however, can live their entire life and never once need to mention Jesus at all because he is not necessary for Hindu belief. For Buddhists, they must grapple with the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, no matter what else they might draw from their tradition. Interestingly enough, the Buddha himself is much more optional to Buddhism, for outside of his historical context as the first framer of these statements, it's actually independent of him. You know, unlike a lot of religions where you need a prophet or a central figure to have received this revelation, Buddhism teaches and believes that it is cohesive regardless of who initiated it. So you should probe it and test it for coherence, and you don't necessarily need to venerate or worship the founder. Many, perhaps even most Buddhists do venerate and worship the Buddha, but it is not actually a requirement of faith. The requirements of the religion are to follow the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, does not absolutely lead into worshiping the Buddha. This makes Buddhism appealing to people who are seeking a spiritual philosophy that is grounded in this life, but without needing supernatural elements or intermediaries. To put it another way, science is proving in many ways the relevance of Buddhist ideas for mental health in our daily lives without having to adopt the entire religious system. Now, this is not without controversy, because some Buddhists see it as a kind of cultural appropriation to take just the bits of Buddhism that work into psychology without seeing the system as a whole and without seeing the relevance of the religious elements to the cultures in which they developed. On the other hand, the Buddha himself is said to have said that all teachings, including his own, need to be tested and found true, not just blindly believed. I will leave it to your judgment today where you fall on the religion versus philosophy question about Buddhism, but I can definitely say that there are some deeply beneficial things in Buddhist teachings. And the two that I want to hold up to us today, regardless of whether we see Buddhism as a religious path or as a philosophy, we can all learn from the ideas of mindfulness and the middle way. We live in a world where both of these things are very hard to come by. Mindfulness is a developed skill wherein the individual is fully present in the moment. It's incredibly helpful, and it's also incredibly hard. For most of us, especially in the days now that we have of cell phones and smart devices, we seem to always be sucked into doing something else. We are not simply doing the thing that we are doing. I notice this a lot when I'm doing things with my son, and he's playing a game. He is fully immersed in that moment, doing that thing as little children do. And yet we adults are all sitting around reading articles or watching things on our phone and doing anything except actually spending time with our family. So some of you here may practice meditation, some of you may not, but I would like to invite you to join with me in a 30-second experiment. Obviously, we're not trying to compel you or anything like that. If this is not for you, feel free to take 30 seconds and work on your grocery list. But for those of you who would like, I invite you to kind of wiggle around in the pews, get yourself as comfortable, whether you're in the pews there or whether you're at home. Try to get where you're not in pain or where your pain is minimized and where you have support for your body. Then I invite you to just focus on your breathing and just put your attention on the breath moving in and out of your lungs. In and out. I will keep track of time, so you don't have to worry about that. Your only job is to focus on slow, deep breaths. If thoughts enter into your mind, don't let them have your focus. Just let them drift by like clouds on a windy day. You can keep your eyes open and unfocused or close them. Whatever helps you, just focus on the rhythm of your breathing. For those who are ready, our 30 seconds begins now. I invite you to bring your awareness back to this moment, opening your eyes and adjusting your body as you need. How easy or hard was it to just be for 30 seconds? For some of you, maybe the ability to just exist and to be in the moment without the mind filling with thoughts and worries, ideas and plans might have been easy for you. If you are that person, then you are incredibly lucky. For most of us, however, even so short a time as 30 seconds is enough for our mind to begin creating and chasing fantasies of what might be, what ought to be, what we want to be. We recall our past experiences, we project future issues, we do basically anything and everything possible to keep from being fully immersed in this moment. This state of constant mental distraction is utterly exhausting, and it is the cause of much of our stress. When we think about what we should have said or done, we're living in the past, which is a place that does not exist. When we are focused on what might be, we're anticipating and putting all of our energy forward into a future that might never arise. The truth is, life never goes according to plan. I had many plans as a kid, and while some of them, like being a minister, are still a part of my life, that is all that they are, a part. I never imagined the houses and the illnesses, the family and the friends, the triumphs and the tragedies that have occurred. In fact, even this sermon this morning, my plan was to be there in front of all of you, able to speak and see and hear back in your reflections and your tones of voice and face what you were thinking and feeling. But obviously, life did not go according to plan and COVID happened. And this is hard. It's one of the hardest things to balance, because if we don't plan at least a little bit, we just won't be prepared for life. If we didn't have some plan in place for how to have someone speak who wasn't physically present, there would be no way for us to have a service this morning with myself. So as a society, we make our children go to school because we know they need those skills and facts to become a good citizen. As a religious institution, the church needs to plan and adapt the plan in order to continue going forward in the future. Buddhism is not teaching that you can't plan or you can't prepare, but rather that you cannot live in those plans to the point that you do not live in this moment. Again, I see all the time, we go out and we'll see someone sitting at lunch and 5 people are all sitting around lunch staring at each of their individual smartphones and not actually spending time with the people they love. How many times I have done this. It is so difficult. We get so caught up in our plans of what could be and what might have been that we forget about our current reality. The middle way, this balance between excess and asceticism, is how the Buddha taught people to live in the moment. Make plans, but don't make them so rigid that they can't adapt to reality. This goes for small-scale things like having a flat tire on the day of the event, all the way up to the global scale, where we can no longer assume that the way we've done things in the past is good enough for humanity to survive. The inevitable cat must interrupt on Zoom meeting. Through meditation and focus on being present in the moment, the Buddha taught that we can escape this constant cycle of craving, fear, and frustration that entraps the majority of humanity. A complete study of the teachings and legacy of this amazing man and his insightful teaching literally fills libraries around the world in dozens of languages. But for this moment, the key I would like for us to take away is this: no plan survives contact with life. But being present in the moment can make the inevitable changes less traumatic. The middle way: plan as we must, be it to find a new building, be it for how we're going to get to church on Sunday, be it for how we're going to make food for the week. We have to plan, but be open to adapting the plan. Don't be so attached to your plan that you can't let it change and unfold organically as time goes on. Practicing mindfulness, letting the mind rest while you focus on your breath, is one way to soften the blows that life brings. I will freely admit that this is me telling you what to do because I don't do it very well. I'm a worrier by nature. Left to my own devices, I will fret about all the things that might be. I remember as a kid, I was so upset about something and somebody told me, well, you know that 99% of what you worry about never happens. I know they meant it to be that you shouldn't worry too much, but what I actually heard from that was that the more I worried, the less bad things could happen to me. So I'm not coming to you today as someone who is calm and cool and collected, who has all the answers. But what I can say is that no matter how much I worried, things I did not expect still happened. No matter how many times I went back over a conversation or an event in my mind, the actual event did not change. We live in anxious times. The media is so full of anxiety and fear. Who's going to be in charge? What's going to happen? Who's going to do things around the world? Are we going to have enough food? Are we going to have enough money? On and on and on. This mindfulness is not telling us to ignore our fear, but it does teach us that we should not let our fears rob us of our joy in this moment. It is a delicate balance, and one that many who are far wiser than I have struggled with throughout their lives. But the Buddha taught us that it can be done. With mindful awareness, we can conquer fear and immerse ourselves in a way that we can live fully present to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to our world. Our UU faith teaches us that we do not need to do this work of mindfulness alone. When anxiety spikes, we have others, we have a community to help us stay grounded. When tragedy hits, like what you're going through, Robin, with the person you talked about in Joys and Concerns this morning, we have others to lean on, people who can help us breathe, those who can help us pick up the pieces, help us learn to find hope again. Today, I know that we are a diverse crew with many different things going on in our lives. So if you are someone who has been broken by the past, know that you are no longer needing to live in that moment. There is hope for a different future. There are professionals who can help you process and let go of what does not serve, and the people here care for you. If you are anxious about the future, know that the best escape from anxiety is not to worry more, but rather to live in the moment we have, taking joy a moment at a time. If you feel unprepared for change, be it personal, here at church, or around the world, do what you can to plan, but understand that no plan will unfold exactly as you envision. Life is endless change. By training your brain in the calm times to stay grounded in the present, you can help ride the waves of change rather than being drowned by them. So the Buddha taught, and so science has confirmed. My prayer for you all today is that you be given the tools, time, and capacity to learn to be present in the here and now, neither shackled to fear about the future or regrets from your past. May each of us find in mindfulness and in the love of this community the ways and means to walk that middle way, full of hope and peace, as a future full of change unfolds before us. So mote it be. Amen, and blessed be. Our final hymn this morning is number 354 in the Great Hymnal, We Laugh, We Cry.
All right. Thank you so much, Claudia, for that message. It was perfectly timely, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you. Lane, could you pass around the plates? Thank you. As Lane passes around the offering basket, I offer the gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by your giving. Stewardship is more than just financial donations, but is also about donating time and talent to help the church. More on that in a moment. If you can't write a check, please help our church survive and thrive by offering your time to help maintain the building, make coffee, bring snacks, serve as an usher, serve in other committees, help with RE, help with worship, blah, blah, blah. We all know what we need. Please donate as you can with your time, talent, and or treasure. All are needed for our church to prosper. You can mail your financial gift to the First UU, P.O. Box 494, Alton, Illinois 62002, or you can give electronically through Givelify or PayPal with all those links on the webpage. If you want to donate your time, please contact a board member and let us know what you would like to do and how you want to help. Give what you will and what you are able, for you are a generous people. Thank you. Please join with me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and to seek justice. A few announcements. First of all, I want to thank everybody who helped with decorations last Sunday, the kids especially. If you see things clustered in certain areas, you just understand it was kids' donations. And thank you all for everybody who was here and helped. And I think, Katie, you were playing Christmas music for us, and it was wonderful. Thank you for that atmosphere. Next week is potluck. So please bring a dish to share. Doesn't matter what it is. And a comment was made to me about the age-old, we need to all help with the cleanup. Remember, clean up, everybody, everywhere, clean up. So, all right, I will stop singing, but everybody needs to help with cleanup. It seems to be falling on the same people as always. So, hey, you got a dish, you put it in the garbage, put it in the sink, wash it yourself. Let's all just try to make sure that that works well so it's not falling on a handful of people to do all that work. Oasis and Aiden and Heather's young protege who was their foster child, the gifts, we're starting to collect the gifts here. Make sure we check off and you're not duplicating gift efforts. So check the list here, check what's on UU Friends and what people can do. And the Oasis donation can be made through Givelify or through PayPal to honor that. It's the Oasis, for those of you that don't know, is the women's shelter here in Alton. And we typically sponsor a family with gifts for Christmas and things like that. These are people who've run away from domestic violence experiences, and so we want to be able to support them as best as we can. Lastly, in terms of everybody donate their time, we need somebody to help coordinate coffee hour and coordinate the ushers. We're not asking you to be here to usher, but to make sure that somebody is here to usher, somebody is here to manage coffee hour. If somebody would be willing to step up to volunteer their time to do that, it would be greatly appreciated. It just takes a couple of phone calls, and a set of schedule in motion, and just check in case somebody can't make it. So if you could be willing to do that, I would appreciate that very, very much. You will? All right, Jesse, thank you. I love you. Thank you very much. Yay. Is there anything else? Yes, go please. Come on up. There you go.
So my son Ben, most of you know, tomorrow is his 20th birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday to Ben. Today's Emily's birthday, you said. Thank you so much for being here. Anything else we want to add? Let's keep also Jesse in our prayers for the 22nd. Final legal battle to get workers' comp. And she needs some surgery, so that's kind of where we're at there. So thank you very much for everybody. Just make sure we keep her in our thoughts as the time comes. We're hopping in the car and we're driving south. So wherever we're going to do, we're going to do it. So, woohoo. All right. If there's nothing else, I will extinguish our chalice. I invite you to join me in reciting the prayer as I extinguish it. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. I'll pass it off to Claudia one final time.
Let us all go from this place knowing that we only ever have this heartbeat. Mindful attention to the now, the presence to be present, is a gift from the universe to us, from the Buddha to us. May each of us be open to receiving this gift as we need today and every day. Our service begins as the service ends. Go forth in peace.
Thank you. We'll have our postlude, and please join us. There's lots of snacks in the other room that you enjoy. Thank you, Claudia, if you're still online.
I am. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, technology, for making this work.
Yes, and big thanks to Robin and Alex and everybody else involved in just making it work today. That was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nathan,